Goodbye. Hello, Heisman.
20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. All the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone.
Four-man Alabama rush. Got him. No, they didn't. Oh, my gracious.
Yep.
How about that?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Three Technique, the college football podcast at the intersection of the X's and O's and the Jimmies and the Joes. I am Mitch Mason. I'm joined tonight by Bobby Wilson of TNT College Football Podcast. You can find him over on Twitter covering all things UConn Huskies and college football in general. And Bobby, it's exciting to have you on the show, not just to talk college football, but we are talking your UConn Huskies in this special episode.
Absolutely. First off, I got to say, I always say this, but you guys have the best intro. It just gets me fired up every single time I hear it. It's just the best. But thank you again for having me. You guys know how much I love talking UConn football.
Yeah, absolutely. You are one of the most passionate UConn supporters on Twitter. You've obviously done an excellent job covering them since you fell in love with the program several years ago now. And, let's start with what was 2024. I think we did a UConn preview 2 years ago, in fact, and you were really high on them. You said bowl game, 8-9 wins. Turns out you weren't wrong. You were just a little early, but UConn absolutely got it done last year. 9-4 record when the dust settled. Kind of set the stage for what last year was, what it represented under Jim Mora, and really how the Huskies were able to get to that record.
Absolutely. I think that year beforehand, obviously, things didn't go as planned. I mean, you win 3 games. That's just not going to cut it at all. And I think I don't want to say some of our guys got a little too full of themselves or whatnot, but I think they had a target on their back because there was a lot of talk of the Big 12 and such going into that year. And I think a lot of teams that we played saw that and they're like, hey, like you guys aren't on that level. We're going to show you. And then they kind of put it to us. A lot of teams did that. You just wouldn't expect to do that. Flipping the script to last season, we had to respond in that way. And Coach Mora, the staff, and all the guys did everything that they possibly could to do those things. And I know from talking to a lot of them, the job's not finished. Yes, last year was good, but they expect more. Um, Obviously, we beat North Carolina in the bowl game. That's huge for us to beat a Power 4 program. But we need to continue to do that. We have some opportunities to do that this year.
And man, I think we'll talk about schedule. We'll talk schedule here at the end. A chance to pull off a number of other upsets very similar to North Carolina. Now, UNC obviously in a ton of flux when y'all played them in that bowl game, but still the point remains UConn is in a prime position, I think, to play spoiler this year at the expense of other power teams in order to benefit their own record. And I'll tell you what, man, folks like to talk about who's the next Indiana, who's the next Arizona State. UConn is coming off of a good season last year. And being independent, it is the path to the playoff is as murky as it's ever been. But I feel like UConn could be a sleeper that you're not going to hear about on Twitter. You're not going to hear about on most network shows. And yet the ingredients certainly seem to be there for UConn to at least be dangerous, at least be plucky, and a team that you could see making a run if the stars align.
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I think last year was the stepping stone that we need to go into this year. Now, again, we have to prove it, and that's what everybody always says about our football program is you have to sustain it, you have to prove it. You haven't done it. A lot of people don't know UConn's history. You going back into the early mid 2000s into the very very early 2010s. So this was a program that was competing for Big East titles and played in the BCS Bowl. So it's not. A lot of people look at and yes, the time from the mid 2010s to the early 2020s was as bad as it could possibly be, and they've had to do a lot to get out of that. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of the mainstream casual fans know or remember or see, and a lot of the media too. I think there's, I don't want to say it's a narrative that's created about UConn football, but there's definitely not just there's not the well known background of UConn football and what it means. And like you said, I mean, this is a team returning a lot from last season, especially offensively, that could really do some special things.
Yeah. Well, so take me into the offense. You've got a quarterback battle. We can start there. You've got interesting pieces and great production and Cam Edwards returning at running back, Skylar Bell returning at wide receiver. The offensive line is certainly going to have to replace some parts, but overall, I think when I did my research and just kind of did some cursory looking around for other temperatures on UConn football, certainly seems like the offense is the belle of the ball with this football team.
Absolutely, and it hasn't been that way necessarily
Yeah.
for a handful of years. And the offensive line, I know we lose some guys, but with Gordon Samus, our OC, our O line coach, that's not something that I ever worry about because he's such a good coach in that regard. We've had 3 straight drafts where we've had an offensive lineman selected, and I fully expect that to continue. I think that we've really, really built something in that regard to be able to continually put offensive linemen into the NFL. And we do a great job blocking for our running game, especially. I mean, we got some really, really talented guys there. You mentioned Cam Edwards. He's a local guy. He's from Connecticut. He's a big bruiser, but he's got some wheels too. I mean, the kid is a heck of a football player. Then you add Mel Brown, who is Jet. I mean, and he's up for the Jet Award this year. He was nominated preseason for that. I mean, the kid has wheels, man. He can move. And Victor Rosa is another local Connecticut kid. He's a good combination of the two. I never ever want to put this type of pressure on a guy, but he has Christian McCaffrey like traits.
Mm.
And then they bring in MJ Flowers from my neck of the woods at Eastern Illinois, and he was a 2-time Big South first team member. Really, really quick kid. I believe he was either in the running for FCS Freshman of the Year or won it his freshman year. He's a really, really talented back. So we got 4 guys there that can really, really do some things. You mentioned Skylar Bell. He's a future pro. He can stretch the field. He can do a lot of things. That kid is very, very talented. Somebody that I think fans are going to learn a lot about this year is Shamar Porter. He transferred in from Kentucky, former 4-star. Last year we saw some glimpses of it. And I think this year he's really going to get that opportunity. After Josiah Gay things transferred out, I think Shamar's going to have a really good year. We have some good tight ends, and Louis Hansen and Alex Honig, some really talented guys there. And then I love Joe Fagiano, our quarterback. He's just a really, really, really steady guy. 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's just calm and poised. He's in complete control of everything. I think he's just the perfect quarterback for what we're trying to do as an offense because he keeps everything under control. He came into some games last year. We were down. I especially think of the UAB game in particular where he was put in a difficult situation there and led us back to a victory just because he was like, okay, guys, let's settle down. We got this. And he led them down the field multiple times and got the victory. And that's Joe, that's who he is.
Yeah, Fagnano right now certainly appears to be the starter. I don't know. Has Jim Moore named a starter yet as fall camp opens?
Not officially, but I think
Okay.
everybody is kind of just under that, like that's what's going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
Nick Evers, he obviously has the name and the background and the pedigree,
Yeah.
and he can move. I mean, the kid is talented. He just had some issues last year with staying healthy. He had a first game of the year against Maryland, took a vicious hit and got a concussion. I think that just kind of lingered throughout the year. And he's added some weight this offseason to kind of help in that regard. And I think that's really, really going to help him. And we have another young kid, Tucker McDonald, that some of the coaches have said to me, like, man, this kid can really do some things. I mean, he's probably not going to play this year, but the young man can spin it. He's a heck of a football player.
Yeah, it seems like a talented room, and when Jim Mora was drawing up what I think his ideal offensive roster would look like this season, I think it's pretty close to what you guys have. You talked about the wide receiver Skylar Bell, the Wisconsin transfer from I guess 2 seasons ago, really looked good in this system, and now that you have a quarterback that I think fits the scheme, fits what UConn wants to do offensively. I think there's going to be a lot of stability there. In fact, not only obviously 7th year in college, he's got the skins on the proverbial wall. He's not new to this. I'm excited to see how high UConn's offense can fly this year. 35th in scoring last year, 21st in rushing. You broke down that running back room. It's just going to be a heck of a stable to watch up there in Stores this year. But flip it over to the defense. Defense was 43rd in scoring last year, top half in most of the key metrics. And there are going to be a lot of new starters on that side of the ball. So, what should Husky fans be expecting as that defense takes the field for the first time against Central Connecticut on August the 30th?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll first say I know what some of the people that are not UConn fans are going to say when it comes to those statistics. They're, oh, who'd you guys play? You beat all these G5 teams and blah blah blah. Well, okay, yes, you're right to a point, but you have to understand where we came from in those years that I mentioned before, the early 2020s and the mid to late 2010s. Like these are the things that we need to build this, and we've been doing that. And our defensive coordinator, Matt Brock, is, I think, a rising star. He's a fantastic football coach. He came in and brought just some unbelievable energy to that side of the football for us. And I think it really kind of changed things for that side of the ball last year. So, yes, there's going to be a lot of new faces this year, especially up front in our 3-3-5 on the defensive line and then the linebackers, especially. There's a lot of new faces there. But with him in charge, I'm fully believing that those guys are going to fly around. They're going to do a lot of good things, mix things up on opposing quarterbacks. Like they did last year, they did a lot of different things out of that set that you can do. And I know some people cringe when you mention 3-3-5, and I know when UConn went back to the 3-3-5 last year, I know a lot of fans were very worried because of some of the issues that had happened in the past when UConn had run that defense. But I think a lot of people were very, very happy with what they saw last year on that side of the ball.
Yeah, 3-3-5, man. It's so hit or miss, right? I mean, if you do run it,
Yes.
you've got to have athletic linebackers. You've got to have big guys in the trenches to stop the run. Our friends over in Denton for Mean Green Nation are extra sensitive when you talk about the 3-3-5, especially given the last several years. But if you get the right personnel in place, that's why that ultimately exists, and maybe they can get
Mm-hmm.
that working again this year for the Huskies. Talk to me about this schedule, because as we mentioned, there is certainly a chance to play spoiler, I think, in the back half of the schedule, especially for some big names, for some big teams. You've got Syracuse on the road in week 2. That's an early test against a talented Syracuse team, but maybe a team that some folks expect to step back. You play a couple of teams out of the MAC. You play Boston College. You play Duke. But other than that, Bobby, it's a very malleable schedule, and a solid team, it seems like, could certainly take advantage of that.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I'm bullish on them this year, saying that they can get 9, 10 wins with this schedule. I mean, you look at it like you said. I mean, we open up with Central Connecticut. I mean, we better take care of business there. That second week against Syracuse, we went to Syracuse last year, and we were very, very close to getting them last year with their unbelievable offense that they had.
Yep.
And we know that they've lost a lot of those guys. And yes, they're talented. And I love their coach and the things that they're doing there. But I think that this could be a year where they take a little bit of a step back. to make a giant step in the future, just with some of the young talent that they have. So I think this is a year where if there's an opportunity to get Syracuse, I think this is really a year where we can do it. I love the fact that we're playing Delaware, former Yankee conference foe. That's a matchup that we've played for many years in the FCS days, one AA days. You look at Ball State. I went to the game at Ball State a couple years ago. We should have won that game, and we fell short. That was unfortunate. I think we get them back this year. The game at Buffalo, I think, is very challenging because I think Buffalo is going to be a very good football team. We beat the brakes off them last year, and I think they're really going to want revenge. And it seems like their starting quarterback is going to be Taquan Roberson, who was UConn's starting quarterback just a couple years ago.
Yep.
So that'll be a really interesting, fun matchup there. You got FIU, who is a team that we lost to a couple years ago. I definitely think we're going to want to get them back. And then you just need to go down the line. BC, that's a huge rivalry. We beat them a couple years ago. They're obviously they're a talented bunch, but I think it's a winnable game for us. And then we get Duke at home. That's a massive opportunity for us again. I think that's a talented football team. It's very well coached. It's going to be
Possible playoff team.
yes. I mean that's a good football team. That's if we're able to get that one, that would say a lot about where we're at and where we're headed.
Yeah, no doubt. If you can pull off, especially that late in the season, if you're beating Duke, you're knocking them out of the playoff discussion. Now, will they be there in the playoff discussion? Who knows? You know, we're on this show, we're very high on the Blue Devils. We certainly think that they are going to be a contender there. But you talk about losing a game to UConn that late in the season, probably snuffs out those hopes and dreams. And so a chance for UConn to play spoiler there. I mentioned that you look at the schedule, you look at the roster, you could make a case that this is a dark horse playoff team, considering an 11-1 independent team. I know this isn't the strongest schedule, but an 11-1 independent team, you'd be right there at least with a seat at the table saying this is why we deserve a shot to play for a national championship, right? Could you see a world in which UConn goes 11-1, and which of those kind of big boys would you say is most likely to get picked off by the Huskies?
Man, if that happens, man, that would be so amazing. I got goosebumps with you saying that. I wish. Can we win 11 games? Yes, we can. We absolutely can. Things have to fall into place correctly, and the defense has to really come together and gel. And there's no doubt that they can. We've done a fantastic job recruiting. We got some really great transfers on that side of the ball. Um, and I think a lot of people, if UConn is in the running at the end of the year, are going to be like, what? Who is this? What are
Yep.
we talking about? This isn't basketball. Well, guess what, guys? This is a good football team that can really do some things. And like you said, in this scenario, I absolutely believe they could. If they beat Duke, if Duke's in that spot, like you were saying, and I believe they can be as well late in the year if they're competing in the ACC for an ACC title game appearance, competing to potentially make the playoff, and UConn beats them. That's huge for us. And then you add in the other games as well with some of those other ACC opponents, win those games and take care of business. I mean, I think if if we're 11-1, the one loss I think has to be against one of those Power Four teams. I don't think it can be against Buffalo or any of the other G5 teams in this scenario. But there's absolutely a scenario where I see that can happen.
I love it, man. All right. Final comment here. Give me your official prediction for UConn's record when the dust settles and we count them all up.
Absolutely, we're going to go 9-3 regular season, win the bowl game, get to 10 wins. I think that is a huge stepping stone for this program to get to double-digit wins. Would just be monumental, really, especially for where we were 5 years ago. When I started covering this team in 2021, I watched every single game from that season, and it was dreadful. and very hard to watch. We lost to Holy Cross. We barely beat Yale. It was just really, really rough and down in the dumps. The coach quit on them. But what head coach Jim Mora and the rest of these players have done to commit to this program, and our administration has done to commit to the program, the whole state of Connecticut has done to commit to the program, has really helped turn things around. And Husky football's here to stay. It's not going anywhere.
I love it, man. I love the rebuild, love the confidence, love your coverage of the team as well. Let the folks know where they can find you if they're not already following you.
Absolutely. As always, thank you, Mitch, and the rest of you guys for having me on. I love you guys' show. You guys do a great job.
Thanks, bud.
You can follow me on Twitter at TNT College Foot One. I'm big on there. I'm going through a process where I'm breaking down every FBS team. Almost done, but because the season's almost here. But for my UConn fans, we're going to be me and Pete Callan, former UConn player. We used to do a weekly show covering it. This season, we're going to kind of do it we're going to do a preview for the upcoming season pretty soon, but we're going to break it down in like say quarters. So every 3 to 4 weeks, we'll kind of talk it through, give our UConn faithful the love that they deserve.
Awesome, man. Yeah, very, very in-depth research. The threads that you've been doing on every single team have been amazing. So would highly encourage you guys to go check out his channel and go check out that all of those breakdowns. How many in are you so far?
Over 100.
Okay, I was gonna say, yeah.
I'm about to end the Mountain West.
That's amazing.
SEC Sun Belt.
There you go. Well, you've been doing a great job, my friend, and excited to see the rest of them as well. Bobby, appreciate you hanging out with us. We're excited to get the season kicked off. We're just a couple of weeks away from week 0, the official start of college football season, and I think a very entertaining 2025 campaign that's ahead of us. So for Bobby Wilson, I'm Mitch Mason. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Until next time, so long, everybody.